どうもエルズと申します。昨日アルピーヌ F1 チームはドゥーハンに代わりリザーブドライバーのコラピントを昇格させることを発表しました。この変更を受けて F1 公式 YouTube で緊急ライブ配信が行われ、 F1 特派員のローレンスがコメントしていました。日本語訳してご紹介いたします。それではどうぞ。
That's the big news this morning. Franco Colapinto is replacing Jack Doohan at Alpine. It's more big news from Alpine in the last 24 hours. What's your reaction to what we've learned this morning?
It's been dramatic, Alex. I know over the last couple of days there's been some increase in speculation that Franco was going to get in the car and replace Jack. It was just uncertain at which point and when the team would announce it. Ever since Jack's really been announced as an Alpine race driver, he got his debut this year. Unfortunately for him, he's had Franco essentially stood behind him, watching his every move and put the pressure on him. And Alpine have just decided after 6 races in the car and what they've seen from Jack, and he has yet to score points, he's had a couple of big crashes, they've decided to switch it up and to, what they say, evaluate their driver lineup and their driver pool. And they want to put Franco in and give him a run of 5 races, starting at Imola next weekend, and giving him a chance to race on 3 tracks in that triple header that he has experience of.
Has experience there from F2, and also has been testing an old Alpine around the Imola circuit earlier this year. I think the news was expected after the Sunday at the Miami Grand Prix, but it's that driver evaluation part of the press release that catches the eye. 5 races to stake your claim after the last guy got 6.
Yeah, it's a good point. I'm not sure why he hasn't got 6 too, but I guess the British Grand Prix is a home race of sorts, and it might feel like that was a natural point for them within the season to make that decision going forward. Look, Alpine have got this driver pool. They've got Franco Colapinto, they've got Jack Doohan, they've got Paul Aaron, and they have got the opportunity in this somewhat transitional year while they're trying to build the team back up ahead of the regulation change in 2026. So they've got the opportunity to do it. And I guess they can do a back-to-back test of sorts where they put Franco under a bit of pressure. Say you've got 5 races, so you're not indefinitely in the car. And then they can really kind of pressure test him to see whether or not he's got what it takes, or what they believe he's got enough to keep that seat, not maybe just till the end of the year, but into 2026 and beyond. And they will probably feel like they've given Jack a good stab at it. He obviously had his home race in Australia. He's had 6 races to try and get some momentum to build a rhythm. And there have been some high points. You know, even last time out in Miami, he qualified Pierre Gasly, his teammate, for the first time. He came close to scoring points in Bahrain. So I think he's shown the kind of flashes of speed that Alpine believed he had. It's just been the inconsistency. You know, it's that crash in Australia, it was the crash in Japan. And it was just generally being a little bit too far off Pierre in both qualifying and the race. So for Alpine, I guess, to put Franco in the car, he joined the team because they believed that he had the capability to be a race driver. When he left, when Williams allowed him or came to an agreement or loaned him, whatever terminology you want to use, to Alpine, they said it was to allow him to get a race seat. So I think there was always this narrative that in joining Alpine, even on the bench, he would have the opportunity at some point to get a race seat. I'm not sure he thought and Jack thought it was going to come this soon, but I think the possibility was always there. So I think Alpine, from the press release and the wording within there, are trying to be pragmatic, and they want to put Franco in the car and see what he's got. And I guess the reality is they've got this pool and they can do what they want with their drivers. And I know from talking to people at Alpine, there's a lot of people in that team who have a lot of time for Jack, you know, and they were impressed with the job that he's done. They are particularly under pressure, and I think this will be a repeated topic that we'll talk about throughout the stream, that everything he had to do was under this constant pressure. And we've seen, like, Yuki Tsunoda even going into Red Bull. It's really hard to build momentum and find and adjust to a team. Lewis is struggling at Ferrari. Carlos has taken some time at Williams. And Jack's doing this with no experience, or having to do that with no experience. So to your point, it's tough. Of course it is. 6 races is not a lot of time to prove that you've got what it takes. But it's so tough in Formula One these days when you've got so many drivers who are capable of being on the grid. And I think for Alpine and for Jack, this is just the scenario that they find themselves in. Alpine are 9th in the Constructors' Championship at the minute. They're not really fighting for anything beyond top of the midfield. It's not like a driver change like this is going to destabilise the team too dramatically. So it kind of makes sense to do it early on. And if they are just giving Franco 5 races, that should suggest that Jack, in theory, has the opportunity to come back. So he's back in the reserve role, and that's going to be tough to take. But it's not all over yet. They could have said, no, Franco, you in indefinitely, and they haven't said that yet. Whether or not, I don't know, behind the scenes, decisions have been made. The reality is, on paper, he has got a chance to come back.
Last night, another announcement, exactly 12 hours before we got the Franco Colapinto news that he's been promoted to the race seat. Ollie Oakes leaving the team with immediate effect. And that was a surprise. We potentially, after Sunday, expected this driver swap, but we didn't expect Ollie Oakes to be leaving.
No, this is a massive shock, Alex, like you hinted at. I think when Ollie came in, I remember Flavio and Ollie did a press conference in Zandvoort last year, the first opportunity really the media got to talk to them. And Flavio was like, I interviewed a few people, but Ollie stood out as a clear candidate for this role. He felt like he had done an impressive job with high tech in junior formula. They clearly got on very well. They kind of seemed to dovetail pretty well. And so then he went on to lead the team to P6 in the Constructors. Yeah, a bit of fortune with that incredible weekend in Brazil where Esteban and Pierre got the double podium. But nonetheless, he led the team to an extraordinary finish after a very difficult start to the season where I think they lined up on the back row in Bahrain. So then we came into this season. It felt like there was a lot of stability within the operation. It felt like they were going to use this as a transitional year to really build something. Ollie, I remember talking to him about the projects that he was kind of working on to improve things at Enstone. He brought in Dave Greenwood as racing director. It felt like Alpine had kind of recovered from what you talked about there, Alex, about the number of changes. Otmar Safnauer, Bruno Famin had gone, Alan Permain, Pat Fry, Matt Harmon, Dirk de Beer, Davide Brivio, all of these people had gone within the last couple of years. It felt like
I thought the stream was just going to be you listing people that had left Alpine for a while. It's just that's all the time we've got left. Lawrence has named literally everyone who's ever worked for the team, but it does speak to the very unusual situation. You do look, it's a performance-based business, isn't it, Formula One? But the amount of turnover that you were listing before I so rudely interrupted. Is unprecedented compared to the other Formula One teams in the last 5 years.
いかがだったでしょうか。コラピントは5レースという期限があらかじめ発表されているという厳しい状況の中、果たして結果を出すことができるのでしょうか。そしてアルピーヌはチームの重役が入れ替わり続けていますが、その影響が今後どのように出てくるのか心配でもありますね。また今後も F1 に関しての情報をまとめた動画を制作していく予定です。継続するためにもぜひいいねやチャンネル登録をお願いいたします。アルピーヌの決断について、また動画の感想などコメントいただけると嬉しいです。それでは。